Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we're gonna be continuing with the narration for the Stultifera Navis side story. And we're gonna be also almost finishing it. We're most importantly gonna finish the Lost Flagship section that we were almost done last time, and continue on into the Nameless Ocean section. Which, by the way, will not be 60-ish% in, like it says there on the little progress bar, but will be about 50-ish%. I know I'm being pedantic there, but the 60% is literally there because I clicked on one of the notes that was one of the cutscenes that will not be part of today's story, because I haven't read it yet. And while I was thinking of finishing everything up in today's episode, considering that I also like to a bit ramble at the end of these side stories about just the story in general and the characters in general, that would have been a way too long recording session, and yeah. Therefore, we will leave that final battle stage, and the final portions of the story for the next episode and whatever comes with it. Plus, I still don't know, because I'm too afraid to look anything up about it. I do not know what that thing over there is that opens up on the 17th. So if anybody in the comments following along with this narration can just tell me, like, without telling me what it is, just say yes, it's more story, or no, it's battle stages, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, if it's more story, just say yes, it's more extra story. Then I will do that, depending on how it is, what it is. I will probably do a narration on that as well, and add it as a bonus part to well, this whole thing in the playlist. But more importantly, I hope that the technical issues are now fixed for this episode. I did notice way too late for the last episode that certain sections of the story had way too high BGM, and most importantly, because that was mostly because both the game boosted itself up during those moments, because there were intense moments, obviously. Plus, it's very hard to tell inside of either LD player that I'm using, by the way, or even BlueStacks, what the freaking bar is setting on. You can tell that you're moving it around, but I wish there was like a percentage just to tell me, oh, you're like 70% volume. So LD player, please, BlueStacks, please, one of you, can I have that so I can actually know and find a sweet spot for these recordings? Would probably help other people who are also doing these kinds of things, where they record a game with sounds. But more importantly, let's get into the recap section. So, for anybody who wants to skip ahead, I'm gonna keep it short, considering it was pretty much straightforward story for the most part. Timestamp in the comment section as per usual. Hit it, you go straight to the portion where we continue with the story. But for now, let's begin with on the previous part. Well, we continued our dive through the ship, and our two hunters and the little Iberian birdie Irene have met technically the last two lucid survivors on the ship. One was in the form of the very seaborn looking first mate that they have been pursuing through the ship, the one with the white whale over its head and the crown, and the other one in the form of the very captain of not just the ship Stultifera Navis, but the very fleet that the Stultifera was part of, all the way back then. He is still around, and he and his first mate have been maintaining the ship since, well, at least for the past couple of years, as they are the last ones that are still sorta human at this point. The captain more than his first mate, that is for sure. They have a discussion. The captain gives the intruders a pass of, you have an hour to leave my ship, otherwise he will begin not just to hunt the seaborns that he is already hunting on the ship, but he will begin to hunt them as well. He does, however, make one startling realization, at least for him, and that is with the two Abyssal Hunters in front of him, Skadi and Spectre. He realizes, because of his own Seaborn blood, or rather cells, that the two of them are very similar to him. And he also realizes that Skadi should also go by the name of Ishar Mla. But in the meantime, we also get to see a bit of what is happening in back in Gran Faro. Namely, the cultists are being pretty much pushed back, including the the brand as well, and they have also captured Elysium. They are interrogating Elysium to get some details out of him about kal'tsit and the monster, but obviously no one pretty much knows anything about kal'tsit except kal'tsit and monster itself. That's just how it is. But it appears that Thiago, the mayor of the city, has now fully dedicated himself to the cultists. At least that's what it appears for now. We will see where the story goes still. Plus, the spy that Saint Carmen has sent into Gran Faro, that has been delivering intel on the church for a good while now, appears to also be working for the Church of the Deep. They do at the end decide to take our dear little Elysium, because he is not spilling any details, and just toss him to the Seaborn as fodder, because they do need some nourishment. But meanwhile, as all of that is unfolding in Gran Faro, on the Stultifera, the hunters, aka Skadi and Spectre, are trying to negotiate with Alfonso to find an agreement, but that is not going too well. And Alfonso begins his hunt against one of the very particular Seaborn on the ship. We also get a very cutesy little moment with Irene and the first mate Garcia, as Garcia was for a tiny bit separated from his captain, or rather I should say from their captain. They and Irene run into each other, and they have a little exchange of words between each other. Garcia approaches Irene gently, and I love that moment, by the way. That made me chuckle so much. Garcia gently places one of their hands on top of Irene's head. Irene looks into their eye, sees how glazed over it is, and the tiny bits of humanity that she can still see in their eye, and is perplexed at how they are still themselves, even in this form. They do get interrupted, but Alfonso's prey finally bursts in, including Alfonso himself, as they are still in pursuit. And we then proceed into the battle stage, where we fight the little sea asshole. And yes, that is a little sea asshole. I hate that little asshole. Anyway, we continue as the group manages to beat the shit out of it. And in the meantime, Amaya and Ulpianos have a little meeting of their own on top of the ship. As after the battle, the little Seaborn has escaped. It runs off to the top of the ship, to the deck. It runs into Amaya, exchanges some words, and hops off into the sea to get nourishment. Meanwhile, Ulpianus proceeds to go back into the ship to proceed and rather go after Gladia herself. Because as it turns out, Ulpianus is the very captain of the very same team that Skadi was once part of. While, as a reminder, Gladia is the captain of the team that Spectre was part of. And they do meet, and oh boy do they meet. I love that picture. That is JoJo to its finest, I guess. Still makes me laugh whenever I see that picture. It's an epic picture, but makes me laugh. But Ulpianus and Gladia meet, they exchange words. mostly about the Seaborn, the last battle that has transpired where everything for them went to basically shit. Opianus also basically tells her that he was also covered in a lot of the blood and guts of their enemy and that it has seeped into his body. That he has managed to go very, very deep and see something down there at the seabed, something that he can only describe as a construct, and that even the most profound scientists of Ager would not know how to deal with that and describe it. We do also... Oh, right, and he also warns Gladia repeatedly that she should not go back, at least not for now, back to Ager. Because there, for now, are a shit ton of unknowns. Further on, he does describe and pretty much confirms the size of one of these, or rather, the thing that they were fighting against. Pretty much telling Gladia to face, even though Gladia probably knew that anyway, that the thing that they were fighting off was pretty much just a speck of its being, essentially, a little node of its existence. But as Gladia promptly points when Opianus describes the abyssal hunters that were invading that gigantic body as germs, Gladia just pretty much tells him even germs can kill a healthy body, and she has a point with that. But as things go, on the deck of the ship we see Alfonso and his first mate appear and talk a bit, while another figure finally appears on the ship, or rather comes back. And it is our dear Don Quixote himself, the last knight, pops up on the ship in the pursuit of his waves that he continuously fights. And he proceeds to go into the ship himself. As the conversation between Gladia and Opianus is still ongoing, suddenly he busts in and the word Leviathan falls. And we... How to explain this? To properly explain this, I have a feeling that the game will at some point tell us a bit more. I smell a kal'tsit dialogue coming at some point. But to give you a just a short kind of description, the difference between Farenmut and Leviathan, well, they're different things, but yet very similar. Let's put it that way. The other way I can put it is that Farenmut are mostly associated with the land. They're pretty much the certain gods that we have either heard of or even met during some of the stories. Keragandr, for example, or Jan. And Leviathans are essentially similar to that. They're pretty much the individuals in the society. Essentially, they are the gods of the Seaborn, to an extent, I would say. But yeah, I guess that explains it so far. If the game will not explain it further, I guess the best I can tell you is just to look it up, because there are probably better explanations than what I can muster up. But yeah, we have been introduced to the other faction, essentially. And if it wasn't clear already, and if you either haven't had any contact with it or haven't played the StarCraft games, yes, the Seaborn are very, very similar to the Zerg. They are oh so similar to the Zerg. Oh my god. Anyway, let's proceed into the story for today. And we will start, let's see. I think we start on the, oops, not this one. Yes, here, on the main bridge. So obviously this has its own log entry plus some extras, which we will, like always, go over once we are done with the thing. So, let's begin for today. Pick up the pace. This Nethersea brand, what exactly is it? Though tiny and varying in form, these fluorescent lifeforms are also an extension of our kin. The Prophet once said there is a part of the ocean where these glowing creatures fill the entire sea. They are the whole, and they shape the cradle of life for our kin. The Nethersea brand is just fragments of his will from tens of thousands of nautical miles away, washed in like the tide. Even a tiny amount will inevitably consume the land. It will turn the land into a new kind of ocean. Indeed. So Iberia was the first sacrifice for your plans, and Gran Faro is the next. Sacrifice? Surely you're using the wrong word. No. The Inquisition will take away my town, and this beautiful Nethersea brand will do the same. Either way, it's no longer our home. It'll lose its history, its golden years of explosive growth and vitality. Thiago, surely you don't mean... Jordi has been taken away as well. The ones who escaped have probably all been rounded up by the penal battalion by now. You're all murderers. Suddenly a wild monster appears. Monster? Why would it show up here? Impossible. It was just on the west side of town. You lied to us, Thiago. And you too. Before becoming an Inquisition spy, I was just the daughter of an ordinary Gran Faro laborer. Don't underestimate our hatred. All the humiliation we've endured was just to take you all down. Both you lot and the Inquisition are nothing more than the enemies trampling over my home. See for yourself what real destruction looks like. See for yourself what we saw back then. Thiago, get down. The monster is very screechy. Meanwhile, back on the lighthouse. There's nothing left to tinker with. Everything else is out of power. All that remains is to see how long this lighthouse can hold out. The Nethersea brand has already reached this floor. I'll have to keep climbing higher. High Inquisitor. Dario back with his battle mask. His arms have gone numb. The shape of the reef has already changed dramatically. The High Inquisitor spares no effort when annihilating all enemies in his sight. But his enemies are quite literally endless. His sword is corroded, and he's expended his roll of explosives. Only the flame in his lantern burns even brighter than before. Not once does Dario look behind him, to the lighthouse he has defended from the beginning. He looks beyond the sea's horizon. Creatures of the sea, Iberia will not be destroyed by you. Humanity will not be destroyed by you. He hacks up the blood stuck in his throat. A metallic scent fills his nostrils. The sea terrors are slowly slithering. And I too will not be destroyed by you. That would take more than death. Back on the ship. Be patient and wait here, Garcia. The chief mate squats beside the captain obediently. It's always boring, waiting for our quarry to take the bait. Still remember the second time we went to hunt those monsters? We still had over 100 survivors back then. When we first set sail, the air was filled with cheering and salutes from the cannons. Those sounds still echo in our ears to this day. We bid farewell to the grand shore, carrying the legends of Eager, as we sprinted towards the depths. After a few days at sea, yes, only a few days, calamity struck. Why did these stupid goddamn cells rob you of your language? How I wish to chat with you again, rather than those stupid rancid idiots who took over 60 years to get here. The chief mate rubs Alfonso's hand in sorrow.
Good day, Mr. Captain.
Oh, we just happen to be short some bait. Fancy a dip? Considering you're an eager, after all. What? Already forgotten what I said? Either you leave or I toss you overboard.
It's a miracle you survived. Never thought any Iberians would have made it after all this time.
That's got nothing to do with you or with Iberia. After 60 years, the only thing I belong to is this ship.
But let me give it a try, Skadi. How goes the hunt?
Maybe my extremely cordial attitude has stoked a number of misunderstandings, but I can tell that the blood of monsters flows in your veins just like me.
We're the same? You, us, and your chief mate too?
Who gave you permission to talk about Garcia? Who gave you permission to look at my Garcia, you filthy Iberian mongrels? I never told you what Garcia used to be. You don't even know if they were a man or a woman, tall or short, fat or skinny, para or devil. But know that Garcia is my chief mate and my lover, and I will never reveal their former self to outsiders. We don't need your pity, or a comparison to whatever image of us you might have from the past. Neither of us need any of that. What a joke. Hunters whose blood is mixed with that of their prey. Not even the ocean's waves can wash away your filth, yet you dare bare your fangs in front of us.
Skadi's brow furrows in a frown. She rarely cares about what others have to say, especially land dwellers, but the words coming from the exception in front of her make her feel uncomfortable. The chief mate shoots a sharp glance at Skadi. It is a warning. But we need your help.
What do you call these monsters again? See something?
Oh, Seaborn?
Okay, so why should we help you, Seaborn? Do you know how many good lads lost their lives to the sea after the calamity?
You float around on these waters and refuse to return to port, yet still insist that you're an enemy of the sea?
Yup. That's my life.
We are abyssal hunters. We come from Aegir, and while we can only guess how exactly you survived, we have nothing but respect for you. We also hope you'll understand that everything we do is to fight against those enemies.
And I should care about what Aegir does why.
No, you misunderstand.
Skadi shoots a glance at Spectre beside her. When she said, "Let me give it a try," Skadi thought she meant that she'd be better at negotiating. But drawing her weapon should absolutely not be a part of negotiations.
Let me rephrase that. It's our job to slaughter them, and I happen to find that process rather enjoyable. Since you're only hunting for food, I can leave you some of the meat I'm done. After all, I've never liked dealing with that nauseating stuff.
You think pretty high of yourself, eh? Compared to the Victorians or Lithanians, I've seen the way you kill Seaborn. You aren't worth a damn thing.
Oh, don't get us wrong. Dealing with these low-level creatures we call sea terrors doesn't even count as combat for the second company. Claudia isn't exactly the stingy type either. I'm stronger than you. That's just an indisputable fact. My, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Mr. Chief Mate, or Miss. Anyway, it's not your turn yet.
Lay a finger on Garcia, and you're dead.
Oh, really? Since our captain's mission is to retrieve the ship and return to Eager, we don't have the luxury of sitting around trying to convince you. The way has always been the more straightforward means of communication, the hunter's way.
You've got a death wish.
Kin, I've come for you. To hunt and consume is an important matter. You are not all kin, but I know you can still return to our kind. So I ask, what will you do? Piss off.
Now there's an easy way to prove that you're not a seaborn. Kill it, unless you're unwilling to attack your kin.
Then I sincerely hope that you won't drag me down.
I'm more worried about you showing mercy to your twisted kin, Eager.
Then you worry over nothing. After all, if I really was on their side, you'd be dead already. So, once I prove I'm not one of them, are you willing to lend us your ship?
Not a chance in hell. The ship belongs to me.
That's too bad. Maybe if I help you lose that arm of yours during this battle, that'll wake up a part of your humanity.
Chief Mate, stay back. Don't do anything. Let's see how much of a difference there is between us and these monsters claiming to be human.
You too, Skadi, don't snatch my mark. This hunt is mine, and I need to let off a little bit of steam. Hunting must be done. Purpose to mold the environment. You are rich in nutrients.
And like I said, obviously this gets a log entry itself. In the, let's see, proving your strength, first entry. Thiago is the protector of his homeland, and he finally bares his fangs at the cultists who would destroy his home. The High Inquisitor fights to the bitter end, and the chaotic hunt aboard the Stultifera has only just begun. And obviously we get a picture today, which is, whoops, not this one, this one. It says here, how do we prove that there are still parts of us that can be considered human? By doing what only humans can do. And from here on we proceed into stage SN-8, observation post. And like last time, I will include this into the narration itself, obviously. It says only here, it does not fit in with its surroundings. And honestly, the only new thing here is these little things that pop up on the map, and considering the last map, yeah, this one is this one felt like a joke, I'm sorry. But here we go. And I will just put it this way. Lumen is literally there just to keep Irene alive. That is pretty much it. This entire battle can be done with the 4 Abyssal Hunters. I'm not joking. Especially if you continue, if you do attempt the 4 Abyssal Hunters and it's still kind of wonky, just continue on if you can finish it. Continue on and get more parts for Little Handy, because the later part we're gonna go over it kinda makes the Sea Brand trivial. But yeah, this is a very straightforward battle. You pretty much have one single lane that you need to defend, multiple gates for enemies, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, the new enemy on this map is pretty much a joke itself. I am presuming that this thing is gonna be on the EX stages and it's gonna be a nightmare to deal with. But yeah. And that's it. That's literally it. If you do need to grind these out on this stage at any certain point, this is it's an easy one just to trust farm on. But yeah, anyway, we have a after story section, so let's go through it and then over its log plus extras. What happened? You're awake. I'm begging you, man, at least holler the next time something like this happens, alright? Pull another stunt like that and I won't be able to save you. How's the situation? That woman's monster. Have they all been burned away yet? I can't say for sure, but probably. I mean, I've only seen the full extent of monster's firepower in tactical records before. Burn it. Burn it all. Gran Faro is already a thing of the past. Just burn it all down. Mr. Thiago, you... traitor in you, Iberian. I've caught your scent. This is where you're hiding. You came at just the right time. Yes, just the right time. What are you... Already blind and beyond recognition. Serves him right for pleasuring himself with that monster. Serves you right, you hear me? Serves me right? It sure does, Thiago. For choosing to trust a man blinded by hatred. Forever having delusions that people like you could be saved. Serves me right indeed. But now everything is... different. Bones grind and crunch together. Sea terrors? But when... Thiago, don't get too close. Something's wrong with this guy. Iberia must be destroyed. We will annihilate this country. This land will become the ocean's cradle, and waves shall swallow the clouds, and scores of mountains will dissolve without a sound. We shall all become one. Watch out, Thiago! Thiago! He's already transforming into a monster, just like in the reports from Salviento. I'll start with you, traitor. For the Perpetuation of life eternal Iberia is meaningless.
Meaningless, you say? Are you calling for me by name, heretic?
High Inquisitor, you made it just in time. Go ahead and pray. We will prove to you that your god is meaningless too. You will watch as Iberia sinks into the abyss.
That will never happen.
What?
My name is Carmen. Carmen E. Iberia. When the 9 saints gave themselves this false title, they abandoned their own names and with it their beliefs. We are emulated by lies. Nobody knows this better than us. God never offered salvation to Iberia. We must become our own gods. On behalf of the Inquisition, I hereby read your sentence, heretic.
What is this heaviness I feel? My body has already been accepted by my kin. My life has already received sublimation. So why am I unable to take my eyes off his lantern? Self-preservation. Yes, all Inquisitors are quite powerful, so I am on guard. You may kill me, but you cannot kill our kind. Kill our kind and the sea will die. When the sea dies, the land will die with it. You will all eventually drown in rising tide of evolution. You will not live to see this land's future. This era is bloated and discordant, and we all are but livestock trapped in cages. I will put you and your Inquisition. What?
He looks at his body in disbelief. A beautiful cross-section. Since their invasion of Gran Faro began, the old Inquisitor who sat at the town's chapel has never lifted his hand once, even once. He never wielded his sword or drew his hand cannon. He used only his lantern and his arts, befitting someone as ancient as him. Yes, ancient. He is very old, a span of time far too great for the ordinary life to endure.
Land-crawling livestock. How did you? At least I was able to buy.
You've accomplished nothing. Brand new life form, yet unable to take the life of even the oldest Iberian. What do you have to be proud of? Look at me, heretic.
You... Damn you.
You were once human too, but you narrow-mindedly misjudged the potential of your own race. For tens of thousands of years, this is how we have won our wars. Nature selects, life adapts. You and your pathetic ideas will be burned in Iberia. Before your last breath, be sure to pass on our thunderous war to your kin. The sea faces an ancient enemy called civilization, one you stand no chance of overcoming.
You understand nothing.
How's he doing?
I've been trying everything I could I could this whole time, but the wound's too deep. If only Dr. kal'tsit were here, he needs medical attention immediately, sir. Where is she?
Waiting in the chapel. I should make this clear. Member of Rhode Island. His treason is indefensible, and he must answer for his crimes. Knowingly sheltering the Church of the Deep's cultists has caused the Inquisition to lose a prime opportunity.
It has also placed Dario and countless of our brothers in the penal battalion in grave peril.
Old fool. How old are you anyway? 100. How do you still pretend to have so much energy?
It is my duty.
So you must know all sorts of things. Tell me, Inquisitor. Tell me the truth. You wretched executioner. Why would you destroy a band of people hoping to rebuild their home? All of you. All of you.
Don't speak, Tiago. I can't stop the bleeding.
No, I must ask. All of you, the Inquisition, those eager you took from Gran Faro, were there really any cultists among them? Tell me, did you really, out of paranoia, nothing more than a laughable paranoia, kill all those good people?
Ordinary citizens have no right to know the Inquisition's secrets.
You bastard!
Knowing the truth will not help you cling on to your fading life, Tiago.
No. No. I'm begging you. I'm going to die, and you still won't tell me the truth. At least, Marin, tell me.
The files on Gran Faro's Eager have been sealed. I am unable to disclose anything to a civilian.
No. I curse you. I swear I'll never forgive you. Iberia will.
His malediction never leaves his mouth. Old Thiago looks at the dim, damp ceiling, where a drop of water is about to fall from the wooden beams. Drip.
He's gone. So, what's the truth?
I don't see how this has anything to do with you either, member of Rhode Island. Return to kal'tsit. We've lost too much time, and the eye of Iberia will likely fall.
Please, tell me. As a member of Rhode Island, I also wish to cooperate with the Inquisition, but before that, I'm an Iberian. I didn't know Tiago for very long, but I just realized he would never curse Iberia, because he truly saw this place as his home. But after realizing that, that's all the more reason I can't just... Lord Carmen, after witnessing so many tragedies in my homeland, surely you can't just tell me to turn a blind eye to all of it.
Carmen glances over at the aged laborer resting in Elysium's arms. His eyes betray a slightly different emotion. After a moment of silence, he speaks. Roughly 130 Eager were taken from Gran Faro, and of them, about half had ties with the Church of the Deep. Even some members of the penal battalion formerly stationed in the town were revealed to be traitors. They stole a large amount of information on the Iberian seafaring era, obstructed the Inquisition, and were plotting from the very beginning to turn Gran Faro into a nexus for the sea invasion of the land. Leading them was a female bishop, an Aegir Islander, a woman the people called Marin. Now, give him his burial.
Back on the ship.
Strong, work together, and you are strong enough to lead our kin. Kind, but you do not plan to do this. This puzzles me. Our kind, how will you treat them? Willpower begets all. Any chasm can be crossed. Our environment complete and pure. Impurities are not needed. About parents, I am trying to find an answer. Yet the question is not clear. I cannot ask yet.
Seaborn, sounds of bones grinding and rubbing. Do all of these seas infants learn to talk as quickly as you?
What's wrong, Mr. Captain? Has your loneliness finally compelled you to seek companionship with talking seaborns? You know, every wound on its body has been my handiwork so far.
It's still alive and kicking. We're just getting to the good part.
Fighting is meaningless. Leaving is the correct choice. Get back here.
It tore through the wall and fled. Why did the Iberians have to make the ship so complex anyway?
I won't allow it to continue trashing my ship. Garcia!
That's cheating, you know.
How do you think we managed to keep this ship from getting riddled with holes and sinking, while surrounded by monsters for all these years? Relying solely on Breogan's technology. We systematically killed the ones threatening enough to cause damage, then little by little, the survivors slowly sew up the scars they left behind. This one can be considered intelligent, as far as they go, but it's by no means the strongest. I'm not in the mood to play games with you anymore, so this farce ends here. Kill it now before it does something we can't undo. The fleeing seaborn easily tears through the ship's walls. It can smell its kin as well as the ocean just outside this strange box. It is hurt, it needs healing, it needs nourishment, it needs time. The scaleless kind had bought it a chance to breathe, but far from enough time. Many preparations are yet to be completed.
What? A seaborn?
The seaborn does not speak, because it faces something that is not its kin. Not kin that speaks, not kin without scales. In which case, the small, fragile creatures struggling before its eyes is just an ordinary life form, just another part of the cycle. It should be consumed. After coming to this conclusion, the seaborn almost immediately lashes out at Irene with tooth and claw.
So fast. Its body is different from before. It's so tough. Madra, I can't dodge it in this time.
The chief mate talks in eldritch noises.
Stand up and run.
You can talk in Iberian.
I save you. Don't let him know. Don't let Alfonso know I'm still human. Language, you also know it. Efficiency, relatively low. Not enough information, not enough time. If necessary, I will complete it. Kindred, you have formed your own group, and your offspring consume one another. You are incomplete. Alfonso cannot get here fast. You run. Kindred, no point in nurturing. Flesh and blood donate to us.
Still attempting to spit out vestiges of human speech, the chief mate is punctured by the seaborn's fangs. It neither underestimates its enemy nor is distracted by Irene's presence. The seaborn's motives have clearly evolved.
You... Alfonso, hurry.
I can't even pierce its carapace. At this rate,
Irene, you know where this is.
Yes, it's the Inquisition's.
Underground, where every High Inquisitor has seen truth.
The truth.
Consider this one thing, Irene. What is the Inquisition fighting for?
For Iberia's purity and virtue, for the sanctity of laws and scriptures.
But what if the concept of truth as seen by the people is only superficial? What if the law has no reach, the scriptures fail to prophesize, and the morality that governs all things amounts to naught? How will you pass down judgment then?
I will judge based on my own standards.
Even if it means casting aside the distinction between good and evil that you've always adhered to?
Of course.
That is easier said than done, Irene. There's no point trying to teach from my example, and I'm not as partial towards words as you are.
Maestro.
But there will come a day when your enemies will force you to cast aside everything you've known. Your faith, your morals, your ethics. Everything will be ravaged, desecrated, rendered null and void. When that happens, if you can manage to rebuild your inner faith, whatever it may be, then that will form the foundation to help you defeat those enemies. Before seeing the truth, before experiencing a crueler history, everything that we do is empty, with no basis in reality. I won't tell you how you should act going forward, but when that time comes, I want you to remember my words, Irene. You must become Iberia's last line of defense.
No. Survival is not actually your goal. Perhaps you can become something greater.
Irene raises her hand cannon. A second cavity suddenly appears in the Seaborn's adamantine body as a torrential flow of heat melts through its sturdy, unusual walls. The surging temperature turns the surroundings into a sea of fire. The chief mate sobs and retreats to the side, staring blankly at the scene before its eyes. The Seaborn has never been enveloped by such arts before. It feels a sense of being overwhelmed, but quickly adapts. However, the Inquisitor's barrage will not cease until the flames of her lantern sputter out.
Release the chief mate, you monster, and get a good whiff of the scent of Originium. You have not sinned in any way. The Holy Scriptures do not even mention your existence. Right now, it is only I, as an Iberian, who is handing down this verdict. The scourge of the seas must be wiped out. You have no right to live. In the name of Iberia.
Irene, you're way too cool. Anyway, this obviously that's a log entry. In the pursuing the fleeing Seaborn, yes, we are going back. It is the 6th log entry, so 4, 5, 6. This one right here says Thiago is killed by a burned cultist. Before his death, Thiago fails to learn the truth behind his former lover and the downfall of his town. Aboard the Stultifera Navis, the Seaborn's evolution cannot be stopped. But Irene finally raises her hand cannon. And obviously we get a picture, which is this one, Castigation. She knows what she is fighting against. This has nothing to do with the ancient texts and laws. In the name of survival, she brings castigation down upon another form of survival. Alright, we then continue with Bridge Access, which is I think this one, yep. Bridge Access obviously gets a log entry. In Where is it? In the Proving Your Strength section. Second log entry, this very chunky big bit, says here, at the side of the bridge access, the white-haired captain gazes out the porthole. For more than 60 years, for 20,000 days and nights, the ship has endured far too many storms and far too many matters of life and death. It will not sink, just as Iberia will not sink. And this is not a fact that requires explanation, so it must be, therefore it is. For the first few decades, he spent a lot of time on the observation deck, hoping to get a glimpse of the land he once called home, even if no more than a small island. Now, this part of the ocean can hardly even be considered scenery. There was nothing but water, a boundless expanse of water. It bored him, annoyed him, enraged him, and finally forced him to look away. Nothing would happen here, and it no longer had anything to do with his fate. But for reasons unknown, the captain suddenly feels as if he has not seen enough of this nameless ocean. He decides that when this farce is all over, he and his chief mate will quietly watch the sunrise, just as they had done many, many years ago. Alright, after that we have drafting room, which is I think this one, yep. Drafting room, obviously this is a pickup, you just need to complete SN-8 to acquire this thing. This goes, funnily enough, this goes back again into the pursuing one, which is the final log entry here, says, the drafting room was once used to aggregate the results of exploration and draft nautical charts. After the calamity, the entire ocean's currents, prevailing winds, and uncharted islands all underwent tremendous changes, rendering the laws formulated over generations completely meaningless. Some usable supplies can still be found here, these supplies can still come in handy. So there is that one. And then we finally go to choose destination. And yes, choose destination has a log entry. I mean, obviously it has a log entry, everything has a log entry here. Log entry in the proving section, proving your strength section. Final log entry of this one for now. Says here, you cross the gangway, the deck right in front of your eyes. No matter how terrible the wind and waves, the ocean will eventually return to calm. So, let's proceed to the nameless ocean section. And we will start right over here at the little compass, and we will go in a circle around and finish off at this little final bit over here. And then next time we will continue from the cutscene stage. But we start off here on the main deck. Says on the main deck the Nethersea brand is spreading. It mercilessly engulfs everything irreversibly. This is how it survives, able to heal wounds left even by the passage of time. Obviously this gets its own log entry, which is, let's see, in the next section. Defeating the Seaborn, first part. Says here, on the main deck, the Nethersea brand is spreading. It mercilessly engulfs everything irreversibly. This is how it survives, able to heal the wounds. Pretty much the same thing, right? So, we go to the mooring winch, which is this part here. It says right now, the area around the mooring winch has already been cleared out. So yeah, this was one of those stages where you had to select a thingy, and you basically get 2 log entries into this one. Proving your strength. Sorry, not proving your. Wait. Oh my god, these notes are. No, I'm right. In defeating the Seaborn. Pardon. So entries number 2 and 3 come from this. It says here, around the mooring winch, a large number of sea terrors are gathered, curling up and degenerating, turning themselves into masses of nutrient-rich muscle fiber to offer up to their kin. Continues, how would sociologists analyze the social constructs of the sea terrors and the seaborn? No, the scholars would only be able to throw their hands up in defeat, because human society is built on selfishness, morality, cowardice, and bravery. Our ugliness has built the foundation for these flashes of greatness. However, these creatures' understanding of kinship is beyond our comprehension. Humans extol martyrdom because it symbolizes morality, and because it is so rare. But sea terrors may well never see it from such an angle, labeling their choices neither virtue nor vice. They have only one goal. All of their actions are in service of that single goal. They have no castle, no individual interests. They seek only to reach the endpoint of evolution. That is precisely why humans must fight them to the bitter end. Then we go to the deck room, which is obviously a cutscene, which means we will read the log entry after this. What says here: the unbearable past relentlessly chases him. The unfaceable future solemnly awaits him. You wasted your chance.
What?
If I were you, when I got that talking seaboard in Salviento, I would have forced it to spill everything I knew about Eager. You've been walking the land for years. You've never heard Eager's messages, but the ocean is different. The ocean has never been disconnected. Yet you simply allowed it to die without creating any value. An unproductive decision, Gladia.
I don't need to hear messages from trash. The only answer our prey can provide are the grunts of lowly beasts.
Seems you found some assistance on land, and put quite a bit of trust in them.
The Cosmos Cemetery.
You're showing mercy. Why does he still stand?
I'm not. He's just a little sturdier than anticipated.
The knight does not fight back. He suddenly freezes in place and throws his head back. He staggers, spins around, and looks up. Gladia had planned to seize this moment to put an end to this chase, but right as she is about to, she has a faint premonition.
The Seaborn scent, it's changed.
You're already sensitive enough to notice such changes then. That's right, Gladia. No matter how much you try to console yourself or others, this is a problem we'll have to deal with sooner or later ourselves.
Garcia.
Chief mate sobbing howl.
Good, good. You heard it real bad. We'll track it down in no time by following these blood trails. Wait, what are these burn marks? What did it to my ship?
The monster can't have left these marks behind. That's right, it must be the masterwork of our lovely little Iberian bird. Aw, they grow up so fast. So, who's scarier, the Seaborn or her people?
You mean the Iberian from before? Her? Impossible. Any of the ship's battle-hardened sailors would have been stronger than her. How could she do this?
The chief mate is nibbling on the captain's sleeve.
I understand. No matter. Regardless of what that Iberian did, we have to hurry. Time to put an end to this months-long hunt.
You seem to be in a pretty good mood, Mr. Captain.
Good mood. Who wouldn't be happy to bring an end to such a long hunt? You keep chasing. I'll go a different way. It won't cut through these walls. It'll try to get closer to the sea. Garcia, your wounds aren't life-threatening. Just hang in there, and we'll be right back.
The injured chief mate still needs more time to recover. It looks at its captain's face in silence. Joy, a hard to distinguish excitement, a vigor it has not felt in a long time. It takes a peaceful nap, focusing its energy on rejuvenating its injured parts, all to help its lover continue the hunt. A brief light dream, short, trance-like, and extremely rare since its body underwent such profound changes. In this dream, it stands upon Iberia's shores. The sky booms with fireworks and hums with the din of whistles. A high-spirited Alfonso stands at its side, asking it a question.
Garcia, see those kids along the shore? We all like children. Children are the future of Iberia. Our glory, our feats, and our skills all die with us. But children, new lives, ones that all of Iberia will come together to nurture, and they'll inherit it all. Garcia, who do you think he should take after?
How can it still move so fast with those injuries? I can't keep up. And holding back from firing my hand cannon is... The Netherseed brand has spread to the ship, but how? It wasn't this bad a little while ago.
The fluorescing Netherseed brand has devoured the golden Iberian hull. The intricate dome reflects the ghastly blue light, and amidst the glow stands a lone, out-of-place woman. Her two hands are crossed in front of her as she silently and carefully sizes up the throne in front of her. The Netherseed brand spreads from beneath her feet, sapping the very color from the golden floor. She turns her head. Her eyes hold nothing but compassion and expectation.
Good evening, Irene. A Church of the Deep Cultist. Did I miss? No, there's no way. Originium Arts? That's right, Irene. If Dario could see you now, I'm sure he'd be so proud. How do you know our names? Who are you? I am a translator. You think a lie like that would do you any good? I never lie, Irene. I've translated a great many works. Perhaps one of novels full of Gaulish critical realism on your shelves contains my touch. Have you ever even noted the name of the translator? Look at your feet. You're the one who brought the Netherseed brand. That's a somewhat biased statement. I did not bring the brand. Rather, I established a bond with the fluorescent sea. Truly, it is an honor to be part of it. How did you get to this ship? That doesn't matter, Irene. Nor does it matter whether you can defeat the Seaborn, whether I die here, or whether the ship will be key to reconnecting with Eager. None of that matters. And yes, the sacrifices of Dario and the Penal Battalion, Gran Faro's collapse, the Eye of Iberia, the long time that has passed. In the vast process of evolutionary transformation, all of these are but drops of water in the sea of life. My respect comes from the fact that we are all but a part of the cycle. Compared to the whole, we are all insignificant. Wait, you mentioned the High Inquisitor. What happened to him? Alas, poor Irene. Look, I know the feeling of having questions and needing answers, but is this really the time when your enemy stands right before you? What happened to him? His sacrifice was in vain, Irene. The sea breeze brought me news of his death. You have my condolences. Impossible. It can't be. Nothing is impossible, Irene. When the oracle descended, all the futures of this land were set in stone. We are bugs crawling along the ground. We ought to follow the ordained path. What's wrong with choosing a life without barriers, without separation, without country, and without form? If you choose to cease resisting, all the better. If not... If none of this really matters, Amaya, then why are you buying time for our wounded little prey? Oh, you've woken up, Laurentina. Not completely, but I can at least remember your name. Hope I'm not coming across as rude. Irene. What did you do to her? Nothing. We were only making small talk. Skadi, continue the chase. Wasn't it your prey? And who was it that let me run into such a nostalgic figure? Alright, be careful. Irene? You're lying. The breath of the sea does not lie. No, like I said, that's impossible. The High Inquisitor's death must have had a purpose. The Inquisition never makes sacrifices in vain. If you don't believe that, cultist, then I'll just have to become that purpose. So be it. What a resilient child you are. Hunter, let's go. Oh, my dear little Irene, you've only just learned to control the power of an Inquisition hand cannon, and this is how you display it. If you continue trying to burn the Nethersea brand in such a crude manner, Captain Alfonso will be furious, no? Well, no matter what. You're going to just let them walk away? Alas, unlike Quintus, I am not in such a hurry. Why would I want to face 2 hunters at once and cut my life even shorter? Is there a difference between a moment and an instant? There isn't, but seeing you revert to your old temperament sure brings me back, Lamentina. After all, you were in a coma until the first experiment began. How have you been since you left us?
Spectre's lips curl into a subtle smile. It is the most beautiful smile she has shown tonight.
It's getting faster. I've already put 2 more holes in it. Just how much blood can it have in there?
2? How did you...
I'll tell you later. Don't think my stamina is going to last much longer. It's been cannibalizing its own kind this whole time. No wonder.
Watch out, it's coming at us.
Isharmla, where is he? Answer, I wish to know.
You monster!
Before Irene can fire her hand cannon, the Seaborn lurches forward. As the wall cracks audibly, Scandian leaps back with tremendous force before closing the gap between her and the Seaborn almost instantly. Her lethal strike once again bite down on thin air.
What? None of her hits landed.
Insufficient. Nutrients, time, all insufficient. Isharmla, we require answers, but I can feel his presence. With words we shall implore. Isharmla, even if he does not answer, it does not mean he is not there. Even if he is not there, it does not mean that our kind has lost its way. Our kind has found its way. We will seize our own fate. Survival, the primary goal.
Do all of you love rambling on while trying to kill us? Don't overthink this and don't plan on returning to the ocean either.
Insufficient, far from enough. But soon.
Cover your ears, Irene. Huh? Ah.
Yep, Seaborn, screeching howl.
Fascinante.
Horsey.
The waves are coming. We wait for them. We will wait outside. With weapons, we dare them. Let us go.
Yep, Horsey. The seaborne murmurs can be heard from afar. Gladia frowns slightly. For an ordinary landwalker to recklessly make contact with the ocean and win eternal madness is certainly conceivable. But one of the other seaborne that obeyed him. But Gladia does not think about it too deeply, because a nauseating premonition is gnawing at her nerves. It makes her neck itch. What's happening up there? Their ship has been adrift at the sea for more than 60 years. If they wanted to do away with it, or even simply treated it and its crew as enemies, the Stultifera Navis would have sunken long ago. So instead, they're assimilating it. They've treated the ship as part of their equipped environment. For whatever reason, they must have allowed it to survive in their waters. But now the situation has changed. You mean? The Narration brand? Since when? And how did it spread this quickly? The ship will most certainly sink. Gladia, have you ever considered why an eager as talented as Breogan chose, in his final hour, to design the key the way he did? It should have unlocked the secrets Eager has long dreamt of. It is the quintessence of his life's work. So why is it just anyone's blood to activate it? Enough to activate it. Why would he let it fall into the hands of a frail knight? We did silence that thing, but they probably don't need any gods at all. Only humanity in their impotence and hypocrisy would fold their hands together and pray to the ocean, finding far too much solace with it. We need to make use of what little time we have, Gladia. Meanwhile, on the ocean, you're still thinking about the incident with Tiago?
Not quite. All of the tragedies I've endured. His is hardly worth mentioning. Nothing more than a grain of sand on the beach. But how much sand does this beach require? The ship wasn't brought by the Penal Battalion. Most of the town's vessels were brought under the supervision, and the few that weren't were forgotten, stranded along the shore.
Then we've saved quite a bit of time thanks to someone's carelessness.
I can't help but think of how much more will be forgotten. What else will be stranded? Kal'tsit, if the land of Terra were a ship, what kind of vessel do you think it would be?
We're almost at the Eye of Iberia.
That we are.
Alright, that was the deck room. Obviously gets its own log entry, goes into the defeating the Seaborn section. Fourth log entry. Says here, just as the hunt is about to draw to an end, Amaya intervenes and stops Spectre. The Seaborn successfully returns to the ocean and awaits evolution. And kal'tsit and Carmen, who just embarked on their journey, do not know whether they'll make it in time. Alright. Alright, we're gonna be going now in the circle here all the way to SN-9, and all of them are pretty much log entries in order. So I will go over the log entries, first click through these and then over the log entries, and at least the next 3 sections of log entries, let's put it that way. And then we're gonna go over the stage and finish up with the last 2 little thingies over here. So yeah, first one is right here, starboard deck. Says right now the Seaborn has already fled from here. All that's left is a mess on the floor. Next section is the bow deck. The seaboard has already fled from here. All that's left is a mess on the floor. Same thing. Third one is the port deck. The seaboard has already left. Pretty much the same thing. So, let me just remind myself, starting on the starboard deck. We start in the hunting down the seaboard section. First and second log on the first node says, on the starboard deck, the injured seaborn seeks to flee for its life. It feeds on its kin, amassing itself. It can feel that it has arrived before a broken through door. When you interact with the stage fully, the sea terror senses the imminence of evolution. They swarm forth, their flesh clogging the way, using death to hold back their enemies. The seaborn is fleeing into their midst. It still needs more time. Then, the next section is the bow deck, which is the next two entries. So the first one, when you just click on it, on the bow deck, the injured seaborn is looking for an escape route. It needs nourishment, it needs direction. It can feel that it is but a step away from the answer it has always sought. Once you interact with the thing, the sea terror senses a hope for the future. They swarm forth, their blood congealing into a bastion, using death to erect a mighty wall. The seaborn is fleeing into their midst. It still needs more time. After that comes the... what was the next one? The next one was the port deck. Port deck is the 5th and 6th log entry. So 5th one is, on the port deck, the injured seaborn stops moving. It is thinking, it is realizing. It can feel that it has questions that cannot be answered and needs to find a way to resolve that. And once you interact, the seaborn looks out at the sea, towards where it was born, towards where it will end up. It cannot comprehend what has transpired within this floating box. It cannot comprehend the strangers and kin that have tried to hurt it. It lingers, brooding. It feels as if the answer is within its grasp, yet has no way to describe it. And then we come to the stage, SN-9. For the stage, it only says, past and future alike are torn asunder here. Pretty much same setup as last time. The only new difference is this little mofo, the Nethersea Reefbreaker. And his gimmick essentially is that as long as he is standing on Nethersea brands, he's invisible, or rather, it is invisible. And it is also a ranged unit. Also says for it, an extremely aggressive individual born from the Nethersea brand, capable of inflicting tremendous damage to its surrounding environment for its kin to transform. Life forms not considered kin fall under this category. So for the stage, went with the entire team, but it's a very simple stage once more. It's funny how it spiked 2 stages ago with that little ass being very tanky or tricky depending on where it devours and respawns again from. And then the next 2 stages are kinda very straightforward. You literally need to build a defensive wall. Build a wall that can survive right here and there, and you win. And once more, if you do struggle right after the stage, if you can still beat the stage even with units leaking through, don't worry, because after this stage I'm gonna show you there is a new little thing that gets added to Little Handy, which makes this Nethersea brand almost trivial? And that's it. That's really it. Now, I presume that the next stage is gonna be a bit trickier, considering that should be the final stage of this event. But yeah. Anyway, we do get a log entry for this stage, even though there is no cutscene on it, as you can see right here. The log entry goes into the hunting section that we have been reading so far. It is entry number 7, so oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Says, besides the signal light array, the sea terrors gather. Where they slither, the shadows grow longer. And for the final thing today, we'll be going over, first off, a new little modules that we get for Little Handy. At the hydrological workstation, the only sound that can be heard here is the beeping of the indecipherable research equipment. Only requirement to get this thing is to collect 1,600 rusted compasses. And you get a new component, so like I said, if anything is a struggle, this kind of makes the brand dealable even if you don't even cleanse it. Because mode number 1 on this thing halves the rate at which the Nethersea brand spreads, which is already good. And the second mode on it is Nethersea brand deals 80% reduced arts damage to allied operators and no longer inflicts nervous impairment. So the little circle debuff will not be building up anymore from the Nethersea brand if they stand on it. See what I mean by huge? And the damage it is dealing to operators is pretty much non-existent. But we obviously get log entries for these. So, for the component, first log entry is still in the hunting section, but it's, considering I first clicked on the cutscene stage and realized it's a cutscene, for me it will be entry number 9, entry number 8 is the scene. So number 9 says, the unrecognizable equipment in the hydrological workstation regularly makes noises, but there is no longer anyone who can interpret them. A delicate device has been placed here. Its underside labeled with a single line of Iberian. Mini decontamination kit. It seems to fit into one of the slots on Little Handy. And while we are here, let me read the note to its right, which was just a pickup place. I will show you in a second. The note says, nobody knows what this discarded barrel once held. Perhaps over 6 decades ago it was filled with spirits that the crew would drink in celebration. Now only a few tattered relics sit in its bottom. Who was the desperate seaman who exchanged these things for the last sip of wine? These supplies can still come in handy. And also, obviously, we get a backpack item. Oh, I skipped one backpack item. I'll go back to it in a second. Now that I'm here. But yeah, mini decontamination kit manual. Says, the mini decontamination kit component will provide you and your Little Handy with the ability to eradicate contamination. Evil thoughts stem from the human heart and infect the land in kind. Righteousness is engulfed by filth, and glory is wounded by humiliation. Please make good use of this component to eliminate poison and stave off its spread. Efficacy is directly proportional. Efficacy is directly proportional to how smelly it is. And the thing I forgot, so first off, the log entry that I was reading comes from the discarded wooden barrel, and like I said, gives you just 2 pickups, coins, or rather compasses, and more furniture. And the only requirement to acquire this is to beat stage 9. The thing that I forgot is this thing right here that comes from the compass, so pardon, let me add this very quickly. The deck plan. Every inch of Iberian soil has a corresponding position on the flagship's deck. The components follow the mountain ranges, the cables represent the rivers. Several grammarians and rhetoricians words were involved in the design, and they confirmed meaning of everything on this deck. Thus, the crew members involved in taking care of it will never allow a single scratch or pothole to appear, for any blemish in is a shame to Iberia itself. Polishing and waxing the deck symbolizes their hometown, and evaluating which section is smoother and shinier became a way for crew from different parts of the country to privately compete. There have been attempts in the past to swap out more susceptible to damage parts in the loading area for pieces of the back in the other areas. Such actions were met with strict disciplinary measures. In the end, symbolism is just that, and we tend to easily get emotionally invested in a figment of our own imagination. And this pretty much covers it for today. Next time we will continue from this part right here, from the main mast, and finish off the story. Also, apologies that I forgot to read the backpack section. There's just a lot. There's just a lot, and the notes can get confusing. But yeah, this will be it for today. And I will probably finish this tomorrow, or rather in the next 24 hours after this episode goes live on the channel, because I still haven't read the 2 operator records, one for Irene and one for Spectre, because I'm very afraid that both, or at least one of them, is going to be a to whatever is happening here. And by that I mean that they both are going to be taking place after these events, so another reason why I want to finish this off tomorrow, because I would love to see those and record and upload them. So once the final part of this goes live, expect those 2 to appear on the channel, because they are both ready basically. But yeah, anyway, I hope everybody has enjoyed. This is a bit shorter than the last episode obviously, but we made progress, and the next time, like I said, we can finish this off. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for listening. I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.